Welcome to paradise.
What's going on?
The dead have risen, and a virulent plague is turning people into flesh-eating crazies. What the hell you think's going on, genius?
When I originally reviewed this game back in 2013, I said that Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare was the best DLC that I had ever spent my money on. And almost a decade later, that opinion still stands. And even though there have been a few new zombie games that popped up after that initial review, and there were several floating around back when the game was released, I would like to go a step further and make the claim that Undead Nightmare is without any doubt the best zombie game ever made. It's not a claim that I make lightly, but after replaying it to its fullest and seeing everything this game has to offer, there's no doubt in my mind that Undead Nightmare truly ranks high above its undead peers. What makes the game so great is that it is very much its own game. DLC or downloadable content is nothing special these days, but when Rockstar dropped this literal monster of a game back in 2010, nobody actually expected to get what was pretty much an entirely new game. Yeah, it shares the same map and many of the same familiar faces pop up here and there, but Undead Nightmare is very much its own game. So much so that it was actually released as a separate title. On its own, Red Dead Redemption was already a solid experience, but throw in zombies, new weapons, better horses, and probably the most unrestricted open world that Rockstar has ever made, and you have a recipe for success. An absolute masterpiece of a survival horror game. The story begins one dark and stormy night when John Marston returns home. He's still in the process of trying to patch things up with his family and doing his best to put his past behind him. But all that changes when his lazy, lumbago-ridden ranch hand and possible relative uncle takes a bite out of his wife, which also causes her to take a bite out of their son. John Marston quickly subdues his flesh-hungry family and sets out into the Wild West in search of a cure. Again, what makes the story great is that it doesn't change who John Marston is as a character. He's already went to hell and back for his family, and now he's literally having to go to hell and back for his family all over again. From then on, the story takes some pretty interesting twists, with certain characters having only the faintest idea of what's going on, while others are just doing what they can to see another day. The story is well balanced and engaging, with some serious moments of further development for John, and some downright hilarious moments that will feel right at home in an Evil Dead movie. Just like the original, the story is amazing, and never once did it lose my interest. Probably the game's most amazing feat was how the developers were able to masterfully turn a Wild West adventure into an open-world survival horror game. The easiest thing to do would have been to mod in some zombies and, well, call it a day. But Rockstar went above and beyond to make this an experience worth playing. The gameplay is just as satisfying as it was in the original, but here it's been altered just a bit. Your Deadeye actually regenerates a hell of a lot faster now, and if you know how to properly pull off a well-placed headshot, you'll never have to worry about running dry in the middle of a fight. Aside from your Deadeye, your arsenal receives a bit of a boom as well. As you progress throughout the game, you'll be rewarded with some fun new weapons to shake up the Slaughterfest. First, there's my favorite, the Sawn-Off Shotgun. And then there's the Blunderbuss, which actually uses zombie guts as ammunition. That is messed up and freaking genius. But it's actually a pretty effective weapon against the hordes. And then there's the Undead Bait. One of my favorite things to do is to throw some bait, wait for a crowd to close in, then throw a stick of dynamite to blow them sky high. But that's just me. There are plenty of ways to experiment with your arsenal. And the best part is finding out what works for you. When you start the game, you're not exactly the walking armory that you were when you finished the original, and having only 2 guns at your disposal can feel a bit weak. But that's where the game's best feature comes into play: exploration. As you travel through the zombie-infested terrain, you'll see towns that start to pop up on your map. Upon arrival, you'll find them being hopelessly overrun by the mass hordes of the undead. And if you help them, You'll get some ammo, a new weapon, and a place to fast travel and save your game. This makes exploration a hell of a lot more fun than most other zombie games. I can still remember the original trailers for this game when they said, "Ammo is scarce." And that's true. For literally the first 12 minutes of the game, after clearing out my first graveyard, I was never sweating for bullets. You could say that ammo is very much your currency in this game. There are ways to earn it by completing some missions like the missing persons at Fort Mercer, but you'll literally waste more ammo than you'll get back. The best way to stay on top of your ammo is to clear out those graveyards or to complete the Undead Hunter challenges. Doing either of those will leave you with more ammo than you'll know what to do with. Moving from town to town, killing off the undead for the reward of a new weapon or item, always made me feel like I was making a difference in this world. A difference that actually matters. Hardly any town is actually safe. Now and then you might get a warning that a town you saved is under attack and that they need your help. And it's up to you to decide if that town is worth saving again. You have the freedom to make that choice. And that's what I love about this game, the freedom it offers you. One of the best decisions was getting rid of the honor system from the original game. In a world where honor is all but extinct, there's no reason to be a good person or help out every lost soul you come across. If you see someone in need, you can either help them, leave them, or kill them and take whatever supplies or ammo they had on them. There's no law and no fear for any kind of punishment in this game, and that makes it so much better than the original. At least in that regard. As you freely move throughout this horror of a western, you'll find yourself up against 3 different types of zombies. First, there's the normal walkers. They don't move that fast and can be easily dispatched. And then there's the bolters. They are fast as shit, annoying, and hardly ever give you a chance to take them down. Your best strategy is to pick them off from a distance. And finally, there's the bruisers. While not as fast as the bolters, they are every bit as annoying. They are strong as hell and knock you down, leaving you open for the horde to feast on your flesh. I can't tell you how many times I got knocked on my ass, only to get away to a safe distance, where hours later, knocked on my ass again. That's alright. Like we established before, there's only one surefire way to keep these guys down. You know what? I think it's time for a headshot montage. One thing you'll find out pretty fast is that zombies are far from the only creatures roaming this world. You're bound to see an undead horse or two throughout your journey, and if you're lucky enough, you'll find a special horse, specifically one of the 4 horses of the apocalypse. Capturing and taming these rare beasts is the only way to get the best experience out of your Undead Nightmare playthrough. They are very fast, don't burn through any stamina, and they are very hard to kill. And during one of the game's most heartbreaking missions, you're bound to come across a Sasquatch or 2. And let's just say how and if you choose to take on this mission, it'll lead you to some pretty introspective questions about how you view missions and quest givers moving forward. It's an unforgettable mission and one that deserves not to be spoiled. Now, I could go on, and believe me, I could. I freaking love this game. But I want to take a moment to talk about what's changed since I first reviewed it. A lot has changed since then. DLC as a whole has been kind of lackluster, with microtransactions and cosmetic skins taking the place of what used to be full-on expansions. Even Rockstar is guilty of this. Most of their series have cooled to a simmer while they milk everything they can out of a game that's already 10 years old at this point. And for a moment, I actually expected Red Dead Redemption 2 to get an Undead Nightmare sequel. Or prequel, it is a prequel. But those hopes were deader than every zombie I put down during my 10-hour plus campaign. Undead Nightmare deserves to be remembered as the best DLC that was ever put to market, and the best open world zombie game ever made. While it may seem like a relic of the past, just like the zombies to be fought in its open world, this game can never be buried, and will remain undead for years to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.